President Trump unveils bold peace plan for Gaza. Hostages, reconstruction, and disarmament on the table. Could this be the beginning of a new era in the Middle East? We'll talk about this in just a moment. Welcome, Matt, and welcome, Zvi. We have President Trump with this new peace plan for Gaza, and this is sparking a new debate worldwide. So, Matt, let me start asking you this question. Before we go over this peace plan, could you tell us if there are any Arab nations that are okay with these points of this peace plan?
Yes, there's quite a few actually. I saw an article from Le Monde, which is a French paper, I believe it is. It lists 8 countries that include the United Arab Emirates, or the UAE, Saudi Arabia, Egypt, Jordan, Qatar, Turkey, Pakistan, and Indonesia, which I know Indonesia is not Arab, but it lists it there as being joining European powers and backing this plan. So.
Mm-hmm. Okay, there are many things on the table. We said hostages, Hamas disarmament, international control, Palestinian statehood. Zvi, maybe we can go over the points and start this discussion.
Yes, for sure. And I would like to add as well that this, the way to interpret this, because a lot of people, Israel has lost a lot of public support. I feel it's easy to see, especially living in the U.S. We shared already a few segments about, definitely the United Nations, doesn't like Israel. They have passed more resolutions against Israel than the rest of the countries in the world combined. All right, combined. Like this includes like North Korea, Saudi Arabia, Iran, countries where there are no human rights. The UN has passed more resolutions against Israel than all the other countries. But that has been since forever. But definitely in recent times and since the Gaza war, Israel has lost a lot of public support. They have lost a lot of the support from Christians even. Younger Christians. This is not something that goes down easy with Israel, and they are scrambling to do something, to avoid losing more people, because the war in Gaza has, been a necessary evil, but it has been prolonged now for 2 years. So a lot of the world players want to see this stop. They are like, this is too much. And, it took Trump's leadership to get to this point, and that is amazing. Let's remember that when the Gaza war started, it was Biden in power in the first year. And then you will never going to get that leadership. You were never going to get it to come up with something like this. Anyway, so the context of this is October 7th happened. Lots of Israeli civilians were killed by Hamas. Israel waged war against Hamas because on top of the 1,000+ civilians, there have been 250 hostages taken. A lot of public pressure in Israel to go free the hostages, to go return the hostages home. And Israel has wreaked havoc in the Gaza Strip, now for 2 years. And we can assess that Hamas lost this war. And all you have to do is just see some aerial footage. Hamas and Gaza and the citizens of Gaza have lost that war. So this peace plan will come on the heels of Israel being victorious in the war, right? So when you lose a war, then you don't set the terms and you don't set the conditions, right? You just need to agree to those demands. And I think, it's going to be hard. but it is about fair. I think Israel doesn't want Hamas in power. That is going to be one of the main things. I want to preface with this map that is part of Trump's plan that talks about different levels of withdrawal from Israel that now is completely occupying the Gaza Strip and is surrounding all of the Gaza citizens, civilians, and military within this blue line, right? So that's where Israel is now. And is there going to be a withdrawal to the yellow line once the hostages are released? And it's going to be a subsequent second withdrawal to the red line. And eventually, they're just going to keep a buffer zone that is the line that you see on the outer edge. All right.
Okay. Now we have to understand that, in other words, Hamas, you said it, has lost the war, and this is an opportunity, kind of, that Israel is giving Hamas uh, to do this the right way, right? I understand that Bibi said that there's a nice way of doing things and there's the hard way of doing things, but things are gonna, you know, they're gonna be
Get done.
they're gonna get done right. So let's go over these points, and I like to invite our audience at this point and ask the following question: what stands out to you guys as the most surprising element in Trump's peace plan for Gaza as we go through these points? It's me.
All right. Yeah. So starting from the top, Gaza will be de-radicalized, terror-free zone that does not pose threat to its neighbors. All right. So that will be pretty simple. Yeah. Looking at it from our side, but obviously Hamas is not gonna think the same way. They're going to be like, yeah, Israel is a threat to us. So Israel has to be demilitarized. Something ridiculous. But again, these are the demands from the victorious country. Gaza will be redeveloped for the benefit of the people of Gaza who have suffered more than enough. That's awesome. And this is in big part what the international community wants to see. I feel a lot of people would like to see this, let alone the people in Gaza themselves. If both sides agree to this proposal, the war will immediately end. Israeli forces will withdraw to the agreed upon line to prepare for a hostage release. During this time, all military operations, including aerial and artillery bombardment, will be suspended, and battle lines will remain frozen until conditions are met for the complete stage withdrawal. Okay, so this is hopeful. I would think, people can see an end to it. What do you think, Matt?
Yeah, I agree. I think it's hopeful. It allows. I mean, I'm always thinking about the families of the hostages, and so this brings hope for that. Even though I know that many have passed, but it allows the ones that are living to go home to their families, and it allows closure for the ones that have lost their loved ones, to be able to bury them properly and bring closure to them.
Matt, up to this point, do we know how many hostages are still alive?
I think it's 20 is the last I heard.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. You may continue here.
This point, it says that within 72 hours of Israel publicly accepting this agreement, all hostages, alive or deceased, will be returned. So, unilateral acceptance from Israel that already happened. So, I guess we are counting at the point of the recording for these 72 hours to see what Hamas will do, because I believe that if they are not willing to come to the table and play by these terms, Trump is pretty much giving green light to Bibi to continue on with whatever he's going to do.
Yep. Exactly.
Once all hostages are released, Israel will release 250 life sentence prisoners. Okay, plus 1,700 Gazans who were detained after October 7th, including all women and children detained in that context. For every Israeli hostage whose remains are released, Israel will release the remains of 15 deceased Gazans. All right, so this swap, I definitely don't have a problem with women and children being released from Gaza, but 250 life sentence prisoners, okay? And there is a distinction between life sentence, right? That means that they received a sentence versus 1,700 Gazans who were detained. And Israel routinely detains not only Gazans, but also Palestinians in the West Bank for all kinds of reasons. Yeah, that range from throwing rocks to attempt to stab or different things, and they are kept detained without a sentence, right? And so some of those, maybe they were, unjustly detained, and the Palestinians are like, we want them to be released. But on the other hand, you have 250 life sentence prisoners. That means people that stood trial and they were sentenced for life in an Israeli prison. So Israel is going to be releasing 250 of these in exchange for people that were not sentenced in Gaza, people that were taken from their homes and their beds, right? So this is really an unequal standard that I just want to point out.
I
A
agree.
win. A win for Hamas, we would say.
Yeah.
Say so.
Yep.
Once all hostages are returned, Hamas members who commit to peaceful coexistence and to decommission their weapons will be given amnesty. Members of Hamas who wish to leave Gaza will be provided safe passage to receiving countries.
Okay, wait a minute right there. Okay, Matt, how realistic is it to think that Hamas will accept amnesty or relinquish power in exchange for security and reconstruction? What are your thoughts on this?
I don't think it's very realistic, to be honest with you. It's yeah, I just think it's a it also is, what it's doing is offering an attempt at peace without genuine repentance. I don't see Hamas genuinely, those who commit to a peaceful coexistence, I don't see them showing any genuine repentance. I mean, maybe I can't speak to each person individually, but the ideology that they subscribe to, I just don't see that happening realistically.
I agree with you. Yeah, definitely. And we're talking about young people here, right?
Yeah.
Let's say you were mentioning an example. Let's say someone from, someone that was 15 years ago of age, 2 years ago, when all this started. Now it's 17 years old.
Mm-hmm.
For 2 years, they have been, or maybe longer, they have been hearing the same thing, right? Our mission is to kill Israelites, and the state of Israel has to disappear. And I mean, how are you going to change that?
Right. And it's not just the past 2 years. It's, even before that, that's what led up to this whole thing.
You're right.
Their entire lives have been indoctrination.
Right.
Yeah. Hamas has been in power since, I believe it's 2006, if I'm not mistaken, 2006 or 2007.
Yeah, I think they were elected in 2006, came to power in 2007, I think is what it is.
Okay, so we're talking about the whole life of a 17-year-old. Yes, since before they were born. And in the charter of Hamas, it vows for the destruction of Israel. So, that is not just an underground ideology or anything like that.
Mhm.
Now, why they were allowed to get to power or why people voted for them democratically is a completely different issue, right? So now I think as we see the following points, we are going to see that, Israel will not allow, the Hamas government to remain in power, and there is going to be some kind of transitional entity that will take power, and that would be actually a good thing, most likely for everyone, on both sides. So, upon acceptance of this agreement, full aid will be immediately sent, according to these terms from back in January. Rehabilitation of infrastructure. This is great. This is awesome. If we can get the ball rolling there, this is going to be very good for the people in Gaza mainly, and everyone that has manifested, in favor of the Palestinians. Entry of distribution and aid into the Gaza Strip will proceed without interference from the two parties through the United Nations and its agencies. That is a little bit problematic. When people see the United Nations, I was just saying the amount of resolutions that they, put out there against Israel, in a completely disproportionate manner to the other countries in the world. The United Nations, through the dedicated Palestinian agency, UNRWA, UNRWA, they have indoctrinated Palestinian children,
That's right.
from the start, because it's not that they send, their best, the UN sends their best from Holland and Denmark and Norway, people that care about human rights. No, they are subcontracting Gazan Palestinians, and Hamas infiltrates those agencies and do whatever they want.
That's right.
So this has to be closely monitored, I would say.
I agree.
Gaza will be governed under a temporary transitional government, a technocratic, apolitical Palestinian committee responsible for delivering the day-to-day running of public services and municipalities for the people in Gaza. Okay, there is going to be a board of peace, which will be headed by Trump himself, with other members of heads of state, including, drum roll, former Prime Minister Tony Blair.
Yeah.
What do we think about that?
Right. I was going to say, we have, it looks like we're going back in history again, right? And why do I say this? Because of the Balfour Declaration. I understand that the UK government was in charge of the Israel territory back in 1917, before
The British,
before
the British.
right, the British commandment was in charge of this territory, and now we have this um, character right here, former minister Tony Blair, again in presence, right? And he's going to be in charge of the situation again. It's interesting, right? How history somehow repeats.
Yeah.
What do you think, Matt? Am I exaggerating here?
No. And there's many out there that view him as like a globalist voice. He is experienced, but he's going to raise a lot of concerns, especially with those who are more conservative. He's not trusted by many in the region from past failures by him. And he would be an unelected diplomat shaping this destiny of Israel and Gaza and and their surrounding neighbors. I just it's concerning.
Polemical, yeah. Okay.
And he had one of the leading roles in the Iraq War, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of like you have George W. there in the board.
True.
All right, let's move on.
But I mean, is it arguably better than Hamas? I mean,
Yeah.
it may be arguably better than Hamas, right? Because it may not be actively trying to terrorize
exactly
the Palestinian population or the Israeli population.
You're right. He may come with a different agenda, but it's better than what we have right now.
Yeah.
A Trump economic development plan to rebuild and energize Gaza will be created by convening a panel of experts who have helped birth some of the thriving modern miracle cities in the Middle East. Okay, so bringing in a bunch of investments, Trump being involved there, you can look at it from two sides. One is like, yes, people are going to be making a lot of money. Probably, if there are some stocks there that will be involved in this, you should go and invest in some of these stocks, right now. But on the other hand, this is going to bring a lot of jobs to Gaza, and they are going to take part of rebuilding. They're not going to. It's not going to have to come out from their own pockets. Foreign capitals will come. And obviously, I mean, yeah, you can look at it from both sides. I'm sure a lot of very nationalistic people will be like, you know what? I'd rather live in the rubble, but not give my country to foreign capitals. But I mean, at the end of the day, you're already living in the rubble. So I am sure that it's better for those children. That they have hospitals out there and
Right.
bakeries,
Hospitals,
and functional
schools,
economy,
infrastructure. I totally agree with this point here.
Yeah, I mean, you look at like when it says here, modern miracle cities in the Middle East. I'm sure it's referring to places like Dubai. So is something like that better than what they've got now? Yeah, I would say so.
I agree.
Yeah.
A special economic zone will be established with preferred tariff and access rates to be negotiated with participating countries. Okay, very nice. We know how Trump was already big on the tariff thing. So it's like, you know what? Gaza, you get no tariff for the next 5 years. And
Tax
of
break,
course,
yeah.
also, scaling to a global economy as well, because it will be a lot more relevant, how Gaza can interact with any other countries out there, especially in Europe and North Africa, around the Mediterranean. That's where they are.
Now, on the following point, Tzvi, let's pay close attention to this because the narrative has changed, right? Trump used to say that the 2 million people in Gaza were going to be relocated, right, in different nations.
Did he say that? I forgot. Did he say that?
I think so. I think, as far as I remember, yes.
I'm sure a lot of people probably that's what they were saying that Israel wanted to do, no doubt.
Oh, okay. But this is a game changer.
Too, but yeah, I think Trump did too. The problem is that there's not going to be any nation that will want to take them.
Right. So that's why this is a game changer. Number 12. Go for it.
Maybe the U.S. under Biden will take in 2 more million. I know a lot of European countries are taking in lots of immigration. So
maybe California. Maybe California.
Yeah, I mean, now France, France, Spain.
England, the UK.
Exactly. Yes. Yeah. Anyway, what it says here is that no one will be forced to leave Gaza. And those who wish to leave will be free to do so and free to return. We will encourage people to stay and offer them the opportunity to build a better Gaza, which is great. We um, it is big. It is a big issue among Palestinians. The displacement. There were many Palestinians that were displaced during the War of Independence of Israel in 1947 and 1948. Many were relocated within the West Bank and Gaza. Many were relocated or fled to other countries that are around Israel, especially Lebanon and Jordan.
Right.
And they were not allowed to return, and many landed on this side of the fence. Right, there wasn't fence, but Israel took in and naturalized. And it became 20% of the population that now is Israeli Arab, and those Palestinians actually are a lot more, supportive of Israel, from that side, which is crazy to think about.
Yeah,
But
some of them are in the IDF.
Exactly. Yeah. They are not obligated to join the IDF, but they can if they want, which is great. And Israel has a thriving, integrated society, as opposed to a lot of people that talk about the apartheid state, right? That is only related to the Palestinian land of the West Bank, right? Within Israeli territories, you have people in parliament that are Palestinians. You have
I was going to say that. Yeah, they can be part of the government.
doctors. They're in the Supreme Court. They're just short of a prime minister. I mean, that will be kind of awkward. I'm not gonna lie.
But what else do you want? I mean, being part of even of the government. Just imagine.
Right. So in this case, Israel is saying even if anyone leaves Gaza, they will be allowed to return to Gaza. Okay, I want to see that, but that's what it says in the peace plan anyway. And no one will be forced to leave. Hamas and other factions agree to not have any role in the governance of Gaza. And I think this was a point that Israel wanted from the beginning, to overthrow the Hamas government. And it says directly or indirectly. All military, terror, and offensive infrastructure, including tunnels and weapon production facilities, will be destroyed and not rebuilt. There will be a process of demilitarization of Gaza under the supervision of independent monitors, which will include placing weapons permanently beyond use through an agreed process of decommissioning and supported by an internationally funded buyback and reintegration program, all verified by the independent monitors. New Gaza will be fully committed to building a prosperous economy and to peaceful coexistence with their neighbors. Okay, so basically no Second Amendment for Gaza.
Right. Basically cutting the head of the snake, like right away, right there.
But the thing is, like, and I say jokingly, right, about no Second Amendment in Gaza. And we have a big discussion in this country about, there is a gun problem, right? A lot of people talk about it being a gun problem, right? Blaming the guns. And just as you cannot blame the guns because a crazy person or a radical person goes use a gun against you, the same is true anywhere in the world. You see, what you take all the guns from Hamas. Okay, did you know that they can get very good at stabbing? They can get very good at the Molotov cocktails, and their rockets were handcrafted, of
right. That's not the solution.
poles,
That's not the solution.
metal poles on the street, right? So it's like you're going to need, and I think we're going to see in the next few points that it touches on the education aspect of this, like trying to really put it, or instill in the people that you can be prosperous and not have to end your opponent. They can live there and you can live here, and both can be prosperous. That's something that at this point is very hard to envision, because I'm sure that somebody that got their whole family killed by an Israeli bomb, is not going to want to live peacefully side by side with Israel. That is human. So I don't know. What do you guys think?
It's hard, and it may take, like you said, a lot of education, and it's gonna take also a lot of generations to get there.
Yeah, it's gonna take. Yeah, like you said, it's gonna take undoctrinating the people from the ideologies they've learned before you could safely, it's like you were saying, if you have, it's not the gun, it's the person. So if the person is dangerous because of an ideology they believe in, then you'd have to implement something like this until re-education can be made to undoctrinate all those radical ideas that have been put on this generation for the last 18 years.
Mm-hmm. I don't see it coming soon anyways.
No, it's going to take 2 or 3 generations, I think.
At least.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So here is talking about a guarantee provided by regional partners, right? So this will actually be a very good thing if it can materialize, right? Because that leaves, Israel not to be the sole responsible, and also people, since no one is trusting Israel. Okay, so bring an international force, bring other more moderate Arab countries and let them oversee the process, and let's see what happens if everyone is peaceful for a few years. The United States will work with Arab and international partners to develop a temporary international stabilization force, ISF, to be deployed in Gaza. And this force will be training Palestinian police forces, will consult with Jordan and Egypt as well. Let's remember, Jordan and Egypt are 2 neighboring countries of Israel that have had peace treaties in place for decades, and no issue has taken place with these 2 countries. Although there are tens of or hundreds of thousands of Palestinians living in Jordan, right? But there is no issue with Jordan because, the government is not Palestinian. This force will be the long-term internal security solution, will work with Israel and Egypt to secure border areas and to facilitate the rapid and secure flow of goods to rebuild and revitalize Gaza. Amazing. Israel will not occupy or annex Gaza. Great, that's another thing many people were scared of. Israel, just to be clear, if Israel wanted to annex Gaza at this point, that would be all right. And nobody can say anything to Israel. And it doesn't matter how many UN resolutions come out, because there was an attack, right? So it's self-defense. Somebody comes and you have a home invasion and you start shooting, right? The police cannot come and be like, hey, only to the leg, or like, no, like he should have not gotten into my house, right? At that point, you are betting with your life, so still, Israel doesn't want to have to deal with 2 million Gazans and reconstruction and supervision. That's something is too much. It's really too much. They probably want to go and turn now towards the West Bank, to deal with the issues there. But anyway, so it will be great if they create those forces. In the event that Hamas delays or rejects this proposal, the above, including the scaled up aid operation, will proceed in the terror free areas handed over from the IDF to the ISF. All right, so it will be a limited withdrawal, in other words. And Israel will try to involve these new forces. Nevertheless, they will try to proceed with this part of this plan. An interfaith dialogue process will be established based on the values of tolerance and peaceful coexistence to try and change mindsets and narratives of Palestinians and Israelis by emphasizing the benefits that can be derived from peace. That'd be great.
Okay, I agree with you. Now, point 19. That's where I wanted to get, and that's where I like to hear Matt's opinion on this.
Okay, so point 19, it says, while Gaza redevelopment advances and when the PA reform program is faithfully carried out. Okay, attention here. Okay, I'll go back here for a second. The conditions may finally be in place for a credible pathway to Palestinian self-determination and statehood, which we recognize as the aspiration of the Palestinian people. Okay, so there is a few things to unpack here before I give you the word, Matt. While Gaza redevelopment advances and when the PA reform program is faithfully carried out. So just two things in this part. The PA reform program is faithfully carried out. So what is the PA? The PA is the Palestinian Authority. The Palestinian Authority is not in charge of Gaza. Yeah, it's a different element, right? So there is two different factions. There is a government, and Bibi wanted, granted, he wanted that from the beginning, and there is a whole conversation we can could be had about that. But the PA is in control of the West Bank, not Gaza. But Israel is putting this as a condition, I believe rightfully, for the conditions to be met for Palestinian statehood, right? Because Palestinian statehood would include not only an independent Gaza, but an independent Palestine within the territories of the West Bank plus Gaza, right? So now we are focusing only on Gaza. But within the plan, it's like, we can see the light at the end of the tunnel where, not today, Macron, not today, Australia and UK, you're not getting a Palestinian state, on no conditions. We're going to have to go through a process, and that will involve as well the Palestinian Authority. And lastly, the PA reform program, it is spoken of. It is something that President Trump outlined back in 2020, all right, where there are some caveats there, such as, not only you recognize Israel, how about also you don't give state money to jihadists that kill themselves while they, do a suicide bombing and kill Israeli civilians? How about you stop supporting that Palestinian Authority, right? So once we are on the same track, then we can see the Palestinian statehood. Matt.
Okay, so politically, I could see this being a good thing. Now, whether or not this could develop into a sort of like the two-state solution they're always talking about, and it come to fruition and work is, that's been a huge debate for decades upon decades. There's also the aspect, depending on how you look at modern Israel, where this is the land of Judea and Samaria. And depending on how you look at it, you can look at it also as with it biblically, depending on your interpretation, you can look at it as land belonging to the Jewish people. And so there's another aspect to it, depending on how you view modern Israel, that this could be a situation where you're taking land from the Jewish people, biblically speaking, depending on your interpretation. So
so we know from the biblical perspective, Matt, and correct me if I'm wrong here, but we know the end of the story. I mean, this is not happening. The Palestinian statehood, that's not taking place ever, right? I mean,
let me call President Trump. Just a second.
yeah,
put him on the line. Put him on the line real quick.
Yeah.
Harold says.
Yeah, I just don't. I don't see it happening. No. But again, it depending on how you look at it, and your interpretation of modern Israel as it relates to the Bible and biblical prophecy and things like that, this can be looked at as Palestinian having a Palestinian authority over land that belongs to the Jewish people. So that it's a very contentious, very contentious area.
It could happen, but temporarily, maybe temporary, and then because eventually, because of Bible prophecy, we will see, Messiah coming, and he's going to put things in order.
Oh yeah,
that, right? Okay.
Yeah, he absolutely will. Yeah.
And put Bibi in power over the whole land.
He will be in power.
Okay. No, yeah, that sounds better, honestly.
Yeah.
Yeshua will be in power.
Yeah, Yeshua will be in power.
There you go. All right, guys. Well, basically, those are the main points. Almost the 20 points that President Trump is presenting. And we'll see how this goes, right? I mean, the Hamas has 72 hours from starting from this discussion, from this meeting between President Trump and Bibi, and we'll see the development of this story in the next couple of days or so, right? And hopefully it'll turn out okay. But we'll encourage our audience to continue praying for the peace of Jerusalem, Israel, Middle East, and the whole world. It's V. We like to thank, like always, like we do on every segment. We like to thank our supporters, our YouTube members, and people that have decided to join the YouTube membership in the previous days. On behalf of Brother Michael Rood and on behalf of Rood Awakening Ministries, we have all these new members here and people that have rejoined the YouTube membership. Thank you, guys, and may Jehovah continue blessing you, blessing your finances, and it's because of you that we can continue bringing all these segments and all this material and content that we hopefully is blessing your spiritual life. And we always invite you to visit our website at roodawakening.tv also, and where you can find some other teachings, and also the channel. You have plenty of material of Michael's teachings. So Matt, Zvi, thank you guys too for all your insights and giving us all the updates on Israel and the Middle East. We'll see you until next time. Shalom, shalom.